Wait a second. Hold on. Todd
Cochrane.
So how's it going, Todd?
It's going good. Did you guys see the big announcement about the new Podcast Academy?
We did, and it's making waves through the internet. And I heard there were some tweets that initially went out, but then were removed. Is that true?
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't know. What were your first impressions of that announcement, Todd?
I didn't know any of the people that were on the stage or on the governing board, so I was a little bit confused, and it looked very corporate. But they saved some seats on their governing board, so I guess they got room for 5 or 6 more, so we'll see what they do. But I don't know, the reaction's been mixed here. But, what's funny is podcastacademy.com is available for $4,200, and they end up having to buy the Podcast Academy. So if anyone wants to have a little fun, there's a domain out there to buy.
Wow. That's interesting. Well, maybe you can get on the board, Todd. What do you think that's possible?
To do, I'll be honest with you. Let's think about this for a second. If the Grammys, what did Netflix do? They spent $70 million to get 21 nominations, and then they won 2 Grammys. Are we going to turn into a awards process where it goes to the highest bidder, or are they going to have a process put in place where, it's fair for all? I don't know if I want to be part of that quagmire right now.
Right. Very valid concern. Very valid concern. And I was talking about you before, Todd, how you've been running in podcasting awards for many years, and also that all these big companies and big money coming in, things are changing. In a way, it's good, but in a way, we want to make sure it stays good, right? Is that it, Todd?
Well, we'll have to see what they do. I'm not going to try to judge too fast here. There's room for lots of awards, and what we do is different. But I don't think they fully understand the dynamics. I kind of chuckle about that a little bit because it's a thankless job to do an awards, because you never can make everyone happy all the time, and that's what this is going to turn into. So as long as they take care of the independent podcast creators, this just doesn't come a corporate pat people on the back fest, I'll be cool. But they're going to set up producers and copyright, people that do the scripts, and they're going to have all those categories. So we'll see what happens.
And do you think overall, like with these bigger companies with more money, putting more money into this so it gets more exposure, do you think if this new awards ceremony really gets a lot of broad exposure, you think that'll actually help the industry or be indifferent?
Exposure is always good no matter what. We just hope that they'll take in consideration across the entire space. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. They got some heavy names on there, and they've got a gal from Sony, PRX. They've got some heavy hitters in the podcasting space that are involved, and then some people that, frankly, I was kind of like trying to look up their LinkedIn profile to figure out who they were and what their association was with podcasting was, and there really wasn't any. So that was the thing that kind of confused me the most. But I guess we'll see what happens. But overall, though, the event here has been pretty good. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of new podcasters. I mean, I'm sitting here with Jeff, my new marketing manager, and what did we talk to? 90% new podcasters. So Jared and Dan were correct in that their creator track, it's about 60% of the attendees are definitely in that creator track. So the session I had today in my room, there was probably 80 people in my room for my session. And then others have had people standing in the back. So, and again, I try to judge the crowd. The expo floor is a little bit off of the main area. So I'm thinking there's probably, I would say 600-700 people here, but it's really hard to judge the total numbers.
Wow. Bandrew, if you want to ask Todd anything.
Yeah, I would. I'm curious what the makeup of the people who are attending are. Do you think it's hobby podcasters, or is it people who are more corporate or want to go the more professional route?
Oh, no, it's been largely standard indie podcasters. But a lot of people, here in Los Angeles or in the Hollywood, so we got a lot of people that are looking to do story type of shows, fan fiction, that kind of stuff. So we've seen a lot of that here. But also I've seen some people come through, they're just going to do a standard business show as well. So I think it runs the gamut. Here where I'm sitting, this is podcast host row. And we've got Buzzsprout, Libsyn, Podbean. We've got the folks from Spreaker, and we're all like here in one row against each other. So it's been kind of fun because, we all have fun and tease each other a little bit during the day and during downtime. But I think we all feel that this has been a good event for reaching new podcasters. And, be honest with you, when we go to events, that's who we want to reach, because once you sign up for a hosting provider, you're kind of locked in.
Right. And so now how would you compare this Evolutions event to the main podcast movement event? Much
smaller. I think there's 20 exhibitors, and this is a much smaller event. But they knew they were not going to have their maximum attendance was going to be like 1,000.
Got it. And there's a lot of sessions, a lot of talks and presentations. So that's mostly what it is then. Yeah.
Yeah, and it runs back to back. So like the creator track I was in was literally, you started at the top of the hour and you finished, and then 1 minute later the next presenter was in. So they're not getting a break. It's boom, 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 boom. So they're definitely feeding them from the fire hose here.
So who's there on your team? Mike Dell, who's there?
No, I got Jeff Levine, my new marketing manager.
Okay. Hey, Jeff.
So he's talking with a potential customer right now. And so this is his kind of inaugural event. So he's getting to meet the podcast community.
Nice. Well, this is awesome. Bandrew, yeah.
I was just saying that's very cool. Trial by fire. Get out there.
Oh, yeah. Dump him in the deep end and see if he can swim.
That's the best way to do it. Ross had a question. Ross Brand from Livestream Universe. He says, how is this event different from the annual Podcast Movement Conference?
And I think you still have kind of a mix of corporate and indie podcasters, but the way they arrange the tracks here, you buy your track. You buy the creator track, you buy the industry track, or I think the advanced, I don't know, there's 3 tracks. You go to those tracks, you don't cross streams, and, they got a full-fledged speaker roster here. So it's, I've seen Dan and Jaron running around, and again, it's a smaller event, but I think let me think, if you think back to the original podcast movement, it kind of has the feel of the original first event. So it's, it's something out in LA, but there's a lot of hunger out here for information. I'm running into people that have zero, absolutely, they've done zero research. They're coming here to learn. And really, we're doing education in the booth about really podcast 101 stuff. So the advanced podcasters, they are already hosting with someone. They don't need to come talk to us. They're staying in the hallway and having conversations. So for us, it's, again, as an exhibitor, it's been good. But I think talked to a guy on, what is today? I talked to a guy yesterday. It was in the lobby, brand new. He's been sponsored down here by Amazon. And he had absolutely no pre-study on podcasting. And I talked to him today, and he's just like jumping through his skin. He's ready to get started because he's learned enough and got, I guess, dangerous enough to think that, it's time to start a podcast.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. And I know you love talking to new people because you can actually teach them properly how to view things and what's important, what's not, what really works and what doesn't, right?
Or you guide them in the best of your ability and give them information. And then, of course, they're talking to everyone else on the podcast hosting row here. So, they're getting a good exposure to all the podcast hosts. And so, it's a competition of the fittest, and, it is what it is. But I think the space is still very, very healthy. But this morning we had the RSS Coalition meeting. We met with about 30 different groups. We met with Apple was there, Pandora was there, Amazon was there. We had independent podcasters. We had business owners from podcast hosting companies. We had a great meeting. We recorded it. So we're going to make that available on the new media show feed soon. And then we kind of came up with an agenda, some things we're going to do. So it was a great conversation. And so I'm excited to see if we can get this coalition going to take some baby steps to help expand open podcasting. As a matter of fact, the Pandora guys are walking by the booth right now.
Awesome. There you go.
And so it's the main conversations are happening in the hallway just like they always do. So no complaints.
And so I had a question. Remember the previous one of the previous award ceremonies where they would honor people into the Podcasting Hall of Fame, and you're in that Podcasters Hall of Fame. So what is that going to be part of this new thing, or any idea?
I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Dan. I don't have that answer yet.
Okay. I really hope yeah, I hope they honor that and all that, because I mean, look, whoever got into the Hall of Fame that you're in, it's all legit Hall of Fame people. So they deserve to be, if they're going to make like an official Hall of Fame, all you guys deserve to be in it for sure.
And we missed a year. So, I feel bad because we've got a class of 5 or 6 people. I'm just hoping Dan and Jared continues it, that we have a catch-up year where we bring 12 people in, because we're behind, So here's what it's about. And I don't blame Dan or Jared one bit. It's expensive to run that.
Okay.
And no one is willing to step up and sponsor. iHeart did their big thing. Now competing dollars are going to happen from this new golden mics or whatever they're going to call it. And you're going to have, my event, we don't get big sponsors. We support the event through the podcasters registration, paying a registration fee to be involved. So we got to find dollars for Dan and Jared to run the Podcast Hall of Fame. So maybe the podcast community is going to have to stand up. Maybe we're going to have to crowdfund the awards or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going to take. But, to be honest with you, for what they do, probably looking 30, 35 grand. And so maybe the podcast community is going to have to step up and chip in and make this happen. I'll contribute. We just got to figure a way to make it happen, and make so that they get the dollars they need to hold the event.
Right. All right. Next month, you're going to be at NAB in the Podcast Pavilion, right?
I'll be at Podcast Pavilion, but I'll be in Spark next week in Houston for the Spark Podcast Conference, and I'll be in PodFest with the team, of course, down in Orlando as well.
That's right. That's in March. I meant PodFest in March. NAB's in April. So the Spark thing, that's a small independent thing?
Yeah, it's about a 600 person Christian podcast conference. So
okay.
I'm going to go down there, and we have a table, and I have one speaking spot. So, but it's going to be interesting to talk to that crowd. As we know, the religious category in podcasting is the biggest. So it's going to be interesting what the wants and needs are people are doing faith-based podcasting. Well,
Todd, thank you for joining us. Todd Cochrane from Blueberry. Thank you for giving us, your view, your experience, what's happening there on the ground, and of course, thank you as always for everything you do for this entire industry, Todd. Really.
Hey, thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Happy podcasting.
All right,
and
take care, brother.
Valentine's Day, everyone out there.
Thank
Love
you.
Todd.
All right, brother.
Love you.
See you, Todd. Peace, man.
Bye.
Oh man, wow, that was an exclusive, Bandrew.
Exclusive. Todd Cochrane dropping the exclusives up in the Podcasters Lounge.